My point of financial freedom. The point when I no longer need to depend on my day job for a living. When I work not because I need to, but because I want to. When I have more control over how I spend my time and energy. Simply said, it's about freedom in choosing how I live. How can I get to financial freedom? How much is needed? How far am I away from it right now, and how will I get there? In this video, I share my personal answers to these questions. How can I get to financial freedom? To answer this question, I borrow the concept of the crossover point from the book Your Money or Your Life. The crossover point provides us with our final definition of financial independence. At the crossover point, where monthly investment income exceeds your monthly expenses, you will be financially independent in the traditional sense of that term. You will have passive income from a source other than a job. Naively, I used to think that simply having money was enough. But money itself is not the answer to financial freedom. Money itself is a currency, a form of exchange. It will deplete as we exchange it for what we need and want. The answer to financial freedom is recurring passive income. Money has to be converted to assets that appreciate and/or generate income over and over passively. How much is needed? Everyone's definition of financial freedom will differ based on what each of us wants out of our lives. So our crossover points will be different. The higher our monthly expenses, the more passive income we will need. The lower our monthly expenses, the less passive income we will need. In Your Money or Your Life, the authors recommend plotting out your monthly income, monthly expenses, and monthly passive income on a graph so that you can gauge your progress towards your goal, your finish line, or how much you would need in passive income to make employment optional. For every month of last year, here's what my earned income graph looks like. The blue line represents my take-home pay, which is 80% of my gross salary. The spikes in March and December came from annual bonuses and performance bonuses. The red line represents my expenses. Some months had higher expenses than others due to ad hoc expenses like annual insurance payments, vacations, and courses that I took up. The yellow line represents my passive income, which includes dividends from investments and profits from trading. I do swing trading, and although this is not a fully passive income stream, it only takes between 1 to 3 hours each week. Income from trading typically varies, with some weeks or months yielding nothing or even losses, while other weeks or months bringing in profits. This has resulted in a lot of variation in the amount of passive income I receive from month to month. On an annual basis, my total passive income fell short of my total expenses by a few $100s. Looking at it from this perspective, I almost reached my crossover point last year. However, personally, I feel that this is just the first step towards financial freedom. While I don't foresee my lifestyle to change significantly after leaving paid employment, I don't feel comfortable leaving my job right at the crossover point, because I may have needs in the future that will increase my expenses, such as caring for aging parents and having children. Having passive income that is sufficient to cover my living expenses right now doesn't consider the possibility of inflation in the future, unless the passive income has a way of growing and outpacing inflation each year. It also doesn't leave room for contingency expenses. We all know that life never goes according to plan, and not having that wiggle room doesn't sit well with me. Lastly, my monthly passive income is not yet consistently above my expense line. Variation is inherent in the types of passive income streams I have chosen to build, and I want the variation to be consistently above my expense line. So, if the crossover point is not the point where I am comfortable living paid employment, then what is? Right now, I have two alternative target points in mind. The first is having passive income that is 2 times of my annual expenses. This would provide some buffer for contingencies, inflation, and other expenses that may come up in future. The second is having passive income that fully replaces the income from my day job on an annual basis. However, this would be a moving target as my earned income is likely to increase every year. This target point would be most ideal as I will be walking away with a level of passive income that matches my earned income. How far am I away from it right now and how will I get there? To meet the first alternative scenario, I need about 2 times of what I have generated in passive income last year. To meet the second alternative scenario, which is my goal, I need about 2.5 times more based on my current earned income. To get to this point of financial freedom, there are 2 things I plan to do to build up my passive income streams. The first is to increase the dividends from my investments. I now have about 15% of my portfolio in dividend-paying stocks. While these pay a good yield of at least 5% or more, I do not plan to add to these stocks on my way to my point of financial freedom. Instead, my strategy is to invest in growth assets for capital appreciation. Once I have enough capital, I will reallocate into dividend-paying stocks for passive income. This is because my capital is limited right now, and I would need huge amounts of capital to allocate to dividend stocks to see a substantial increase in passive income. A drawback to this strategy is that I may not be able to get a good enough yield immediately at a point when I want to reallocate towards dividend stocks, and I may have to wait for yields to become favorable. This is a trade-off I am willing to make because ultimately capital or wealth is what gives us the power to bring in passive income. Even if I cannot secure good dividend yields, there's flexibility to use that capital or wealth for other pursuits that could also bring in passive income. The second thing I plan to do is to improve my trading performance and scale to a bigger account. I have been trading for 3 years, and although I ended each of the last 2 years with 5-figure profits, it's partially because the market has been so bullish that even some of my poor trading decisions turned out profitable. I am still learning and improving to achieve consistency in the way I trade. My plan is to prove to myself that I can consistently trade properly with the right strategies, risk management, and psychology before I scale to trade with a bigger account. Since trading contributes to most of the variation in passive income level across the months, my goal is to scale up enough such that my passive income line is still consistently above my expense line despite any variation. This is my game plan to reach my point of financial freedom, ideally with a passive income level that matches my earned income at the time when I leave paid employment. If you want to follow my progress on this journey, subscribe to my channel.